Welcome, welcome. How y'all healing? It's day 19, y'all. It is day 19 of the entrepreneur. Ugh, why do I always get tongue tied? It is day 19 of the entrepreneur wellness series. Quick shifts, real chats, real talk, mindset moves, keeping you on your toes about entrepreneurship, mindfulness, wellness, all the things. Y'all got y'all pens and papers, and notebooks and journals. I can't believe it's day 19, y'all. I'm actually kind of in a little bit of I don't know. Is it all? Is it I can take a deep sigh. I've been thinking about like, should I go actually live on the 21st? Um, y'all gonna have to let me know in the comments if y'all want me to actually go live on the 21st day. I don't know if that would be the 21st of the month, but the 21st day, I think it does kind of coincide. But let me know um, what y'all think. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment because I'm building this YouTube page for y'all, for the shifters. If anybody has any tips and tricks about the light with my glasses, because I haven't figured out how to um, use my ring light setup and not get the glare in my glasses. So y'all see that little circle, and y'all might not even been paying attention to that. I probably done told y'all that. Now y'all gonna be looking at the little circles. But anyway, if anybody has any tips and tricks about the light and how I can angle the light, let me know. And I probably could just go to YouTube University like y'all doing and find it myself too. So anyway, I am Clarindria Addison, author, therapist, and podcast host of Shift Chats. And this series, 21 Days for 21 Minutes, was a challenge that I did for myself and decided to share it with you guys. So we're on day 19. And day 19 is the fear of being seen, hiding your gifts in plain sight. So I want to talk about some causes of that and then ways to shift out of that mindset. But one thing that comes to mind for me, and y'all know I'm always going to share a story, a personal story, one, because I'm trying to help you guys get to know me. And also, it kind of it's something you can tie back to. Like, and sometimes you'll hear me say, oh, read a post or, saw an article or was reading in a book or whatever to give reference to things. So for me, um, I feel like I have worked probably, I'm going to say, the last 8 to 10 years of being okay with letting my light shine. And I say that because in my marriage, that was sometimes a challenge. And in friendships, that has been past tense, a challenge. Because I was told, you're too much, like you're extra. And what I realized in those experiences, and as I worked on myself and my healing journey and began to really, kind of work on who I was as a person, a couple things I figured out is one, I'm not for everybody, and I'm okay with that. And two, as I began to work on my throat chakra, it came to me that one of the things that I enjoy is talking, right? And so one of the things that used to happen to me was people would say, "Oh, you talk too much," or when I was younger, I remember, stories and even, some vague memories myself of people like, oh, she's fast. And I remember my oldest sister, who thinks she my mama, would say, she's not fast, she's just smart. And so I think that those things, and people don't realize how, things that you say, especially to children as they're, forming and becoming, um, were barriers to um, how I saw myself, right? So I think in my mind, I was thinking more like, am I being fast because I'm really smart and I know, a lot of things, and not being able to, connect that I really was smart and I really was bright. Um, Going back to, like my childhood years, I was in, they had a program in the school I went to called PAT, which stood for Program for Academically Talented. So I was really like book smart, like, reading 2 or 3 grade levels ahead. English was one of my favorite subjects. So, for me, I think because I was able to retain information so easily, um, it probably did come off like, oh, she thinks she knows, everything, or she thinks she knows a lot. But also, too, now knowing, people who appreciate me for who I am don't see it that way. Like, oh, she's smart. She knows a lot of things about a lot of things. Do I know everything? Absolutely not, and never claim to. But just thought I would share that story about, we cannot have a fear of being seen, and sometimes our light does shine a bit brighter than others. Now, in my new transformation, and like, being more vocal and sharing my story and talking to people, or even when I'm out and about, I people will say to me, like, you, like they can see, the energy with me. I have people will, say to me like, I want to be around your energy. And I don't necessarily know if that's a good or a bad thing. But I do feel like I have learned to practice discernment, and I've learned to know, who was really just trying to suck up my energy to try and dim my light, and who is really, in support of me, and, wanting to see me be successful and wanting to see me grow. Um, because at the end of the day, for me, it really is about one, sharing information to other people, helping people know that I wasn't always where I am today as it relates to being able to share my story and to express how I feel. So this journey has been a journey. It has been a practice of like, what do I want for myself, and what do I want people to know and experience, when they come into contact with me. I work, and you have probably heard me say, I'm very intentional about being kind and treating people how I want to be treated, regardless of the situation. I know that I am a problem solver. I know that I am resourceful. People come to me in crisis to help, navigate and figure things out. And I love to do that. And I love seeing the outcome of when, someone has come into contact with me. I also have not shared, my intuitive gifts. And as I continue on this journey of, now I'm going into the 21 days, and now you'll be seeing more of me, because now it has become a habit, and I'll be wanting to, get on live and talk to you guys and interact. Um, I will share more about my intuition, my intuitive gifts. And I do think that everybody has it. I do think that it is a practice that you have to get into to really tap into it. Spirituality for me, and I think I talked about this recently. Excuse me, that spirituality um, is, I want people to be able to choose, right? I don't think that I'm the person to be like, oh, you need to be Christian or Muslim or Hebrew or Jewish or Hebrew. Look, I always treble my words, but I think that people should be allowed to be, right? And as long as you are kind and that you treat people nice, um, it's all gonna figure itself out at the end of the day. So let me get into some of the causes of um, the fear of being seen. So in childhood, there's childhood conditioning around staying small or being too much, which are some examples that I just gave you guys. Fear of judgment or imposter syndrome. And we hear that imposter syndrome thing keeps coming up. And so not only in entrepreneurship, but just in real life, that is a real thing. And past experiences of rejection or failure are some causes of that. I want to give you three ways to shift. We're talking about shifting. So, one, acknowledge your fears without letting them lead. How did we do that? How do we acknowledge our fears without letting the fear lead? Um, just tell fear to just step back, get back, get off me. Um, and again, do the work. Like you hear me keep saying that throughout this time. Like there is some work that you are going to have to do in order to see progress. Start showing up in small, brave ways, like making a post, sharing something, going live. Ta-da! um, and I think for me, the going live, um, because you're putting yourself out there. Like people, get to judge. People get to see you in a vulnerable state. Your environment, maybe what you have going on. But I also know that for me, there are some things that I'm still able to, hold close to me and to keep private. And people who know me know that I'm, a pretty private person. I think in my old life, where we all have our, past expressions, I had, fell into, gossip and things of that nature. And I'm saying in my very, very old life as an adult, right, we don't do that anymore. And I have been in the practice, specifically, like for example, if somebody is talking about somebody that I know, I will usually try to like redirect the conversation, remove myself from the conversation, um, and just be mindful about kind of how what that energy is about, because sometimes I think it can be misconstrued. Like someone could be saying something about somebody, and then maybe they've said something to that person already, and it could come back like it's gossip. Like I had a situation where a peer of mine was sharing an experience like that happened, and all of these people were around, and it came back like that person was talking about them, when in actuality everybody was there during that conversation. So for me, just kind of being mindful about, you know people are talking and maybe venting their experience, or something like that can be misconstrued. So for me, I just try to stay neutral or remove myself so that it doesn't appear. I've had some experiences in the past where I might be on a three-way call, and there's conversation going on, and I'm like, put the phone down, because I don't want to be a part of that, or again, removing myself from the situation. So I had to get in practice with doing that, because I think sometimes people don't necessarily do it intentionally, or maybe they do it unconsciously, or they don't feel like it's something that is necessarily wrong. Um, but just being mindful of, I want to treat people I treat people how I want to be treated. And, the gossip and the drama and all of that is not something that I entertain. Like, it's just, I don't want to do it. And for people who know me, know, like, yeah, she not going to, get into all of that. And I think I talked about this in the past too, like being guilty by association. Like there were some experiences that I had where people kind of assumed something about me because they maybe saw me with, somebody or some people, or in a group and thought, oh, that's a clique, they're, this or that, because of maybe the people that they saw me with, and they did not get to know me as a person. So for us as adults, we have to keep that in mind that we do have to be mindful of the company that we keep, but as adults, we also have to be mindful that, because you see me with a person does not mean that I am who that person is or whatever that person has done. And we should allow people our own individual experience to determine whether or not you can, commingle with them. I think for me, that has not happened a lot in the past, where people kind of assume, oh, she is friends with that person or she knows that person. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't even know how I got on that topic, y'all, but it must have been something that I needed to share. So there you go. We were talking about ways to shift. So the second one starts showing up, small and brave ways, post, share, and go live. And then remind yourself being visible doesn't require being perfect. And I know for me, that was one of the challenges that I had with going live because I wanted everything to be right. Like I wanted the lighting to be right. I just heard me talking about the lighting. I wanted the setting and the background. And like I said, I realized um, as I was preparing to go on vacation, like, oh my God, I started this 21-day thing and I'm going to be traveling. So I kind of had to like recalibrate and figure out how do I, do this in a way and not let that be an excuse for me. Like, oh, well, I'm not in the setting in my office or I don't have the right background or whatever. And I think I've been doing a good job of just, keeping the flow going and keeping it going for you guys. So I'm going to put that up so you guys can have 3 ways to shift. You can screenshot or write it down. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, comment. If you have not watched my latest podcast, it went out this past Tuesday on was it the 15th? Hold on. I'm going to tell y'all for sure. Yes, Tuesday the 15th. Definitely go and watch, comment. It was a really good episode with a good friend of mine who is an entrepreneur. We are going to affirm it is safe for me to be seen, heard, and valued as I am. It is safe for me to be seen, heard, and valued as I am. It is safe for me to be seen, heard, and valued as I am. Here's your journal prompt. What am I afraid people will see if I show up fully? And what might they gain if I let myself be visible? And I'll speak to the last part of that. I feel like for me, the more that I show up as my most authentic self, the more positive interactions I have, the more I am able to make connections with people who also have great energy and are aligned. There were some scenarios that happened, on my trip, and I thought, like, this is crazy. Like, I'll give you guys a couple um, of scenarios that happen. I'm going to try to go as quickly as I can. So, one, on this trip, the guy or the lady that put together the trip, her name is Monique Cash. She's like, there's a lady. She's also from Wisconsin. She's a licensed therapist. She travels. Da da da. Long story short, it is one of my old friends that I went to school with. And when I tell you guys, I missed her so much. The embrace was amazing. Like I literally started crying because I was like, oh my God, I have not seen her in years. I had not talked to her in probably like 9 or 10 years because she lives out of the country. And not because she lives out of the country, but you know how you just kind of lose touch with people, and people go on with their lives. And I got married, and she was traveling. I believe she said she's been in like 53 countries. So we were able to reconnect, and I'm excited about that reconnection. Um, and that's just one of the synchronicities. Another synchronicity is the place, one of the places that we stayed was called Milwaukee. And a few months ago, it somehow came up on my timeline because y'all know these things be listening. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a beautiful place. I would love to go there. Synchronicity. We were not supposed to stay at Milwaukee. I believe that's how you pronounce it. We were originally supposed to stay somewhere else. They had rain, their system backed up. And so we ended up being moved to Milwaukee, which was a place that I had wanted to visit. So when I tell you about alignment and synchronicities, that's just two. I really could go on and on, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that. But I want to say that many of us unconsciously hide our brilliance because visibility feels vulnerable. But hiding doesn't protect your power, it actually suppresses it. You don't need to shrink to be safe. Visibility is a part of healing. Start small, but start now. Someone is waiting on your boldness to give themselves permission to be seen too. Remember, the shift is happening now.